Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Nonstop Talking with your girl here, Vivian Liu. Today I will be discussing the worst books I read in 2024. Before I get started on that, I did DNF only one book last year, so I'm just gonna get that title out of the way instead of doing like a DNF books video, and that's If I Can Survive You by Jeffrey. Let me look this up real quick. Jonathan, sorry. If I Survive You by Jonathan Escofree. Sorry about that. But yes, so that's my one DNF of 24, and I have 10 titles today that made it to, unfortunately, my worst list. And like my best list, I will be going in alphabetical order. So the first book on this list is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I love the first book a lot. So it was really disappointing for me to see how this series had kind of like fallen for me. I think in the first book I was really endeared by Pip, and I wasn't a fan of the second book, but by this third book I felt like I just didn't really understand her, and I felt like her decisions didn't make sense, and the conclusion was just not good, and I think from how much I loved the first book to how this third book ended everything, I was just really disappointed. Number two is an entire manga series. There are 8 volumes in Cass Heaven by Chise Ogawa. So I read the entire series in 2024. I didn't like it from the start. I didn't like the first volume. I gave the first volume 1 star. But the thing about me is that I'm shit. And I love reading about a toxic relationship. However, I think there's like stories out there that can write a toxic relationship and it be like entertaining and still like will hit you in the feels and stuff like that. This one was just kind of like really scummy, did all the toxic relationship tropes just for like the wow factor, and it wasn't like actually good. But like I said, I'm shit, so I like had to read to the end and get to the conclusion, but I don't recommend that you put yourself through that. Cass Heaven is kind of like the worst of yaoi, especially in like the early days, right? A lot of like rape, non-consensual sex, bullying, intense unfair power dynamics, and in the story there's like a card game that determines like the social hierarchy of the school, and so because of that there's just a lot of hardcore intense bullying, and for whatever reason like all the teachers just kind of turn like a blind eye and they're like, we don't see anything, and it's just like really upsetting, and I'm just like, what is going on? And yeah, I felt like I was just asking myself that a lot, and I still read it and I still put myself through all of that, and yeah, like I said, I don't recommend that you do that to yourself. It was just very like upsetting and nonsensical and bullying to the extreme. Number 3, oh my god, I feel so guilty for not liking this, and it's Crying in H Mart. And okay, so the way that I feel like everyone talks about Crying in H Mart, I think I was duped. I don't think I read the same book. This book was so heavily praised and recommended to me, and I don't understand it. And I'm glad I actually do have one friend in real life, IRL, that also didn't like it, and kind of for the same reason that I didn't like it. And I'm like, oh, thank you for agreeing with me or validating my opinions, because like so many people love Crying in H Mart and I don't understand it. I don't, and I feel like shit, right? Because this is like someone's life story, and I don't want to judge someone's life because that's not my place. So I'm not gonna get into like the nitty gritty. But one thing that really stood out to me was I don't think abuse should be explained away as culture. I say like I shouldn't be judgmental, but I'm such a judgmental person. So I think I should rephrase that and say like I shouldn't judge too harshly. So we're gonna move on to the next book. Number 4, oh man, this made me really, really sad because it's Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you watch my best video, I mentioned how like Taylor Jenkins Reid has like consistently given me like really, really good books. I think I've liked almost everything that she's written, and this is the only flop. Which I don't think is too bad, right? But this flopped so hard, so bad, and like it just made me really sad because I'm like, wow, why did I dislike Forever Interrupted so much? So in Forever Interrupted, Ben and Elise decide to elope. 9 days later, Ben gets into an accident and passes away. Ben's mother now has to cope with the fact that her son is dead, and out of nowhere, poof, there is a supposed daughter-in-law that she had never heard about. And so they're just both grappling with emotions and things and such. And I just didn't like the plot, and I couldn't get with the concept at all. Number 5 is Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. And this really, really hurt me because I loved Fangirl and I loved Carry On. And so I pre-ordered Slow Dance, and I got the first edition signed copy. I got that bad boy only to unhaul it. So like, yeah, tears all around. So in Slow Dance, back in the day, everyone thought that, not back in the day, but like in high school, I suppose, everyone thought Carrie and Shiloh were going to end up together, and they didn't. And years later, they reunite at a mutual friend's wedding. Carrie is in the Navy, and Shiloh is a divorced mother. And so from this like reunion, we can now wonder, can they explain away past miscommunications and acknowledge each other's lingering feelings while grappling with like their current different identities from when they were teenagers? I have realized as I read more second chance romances that, or watch, that second chance romances are not my cup of tea. I don't really like second chance romances because I sometimes feel that their reason for breaking up is completely valid, and their reason for getting back together is not stronger than the reason why they originally broke up. And I feel this way very much for Slow Dance. But I think the biggest issue with Slow Dance for me was that I didn't like Shiloh. I don't understand why Carrie had like, was it held a torch for her for like so long, because she's not likable or lovable, but to each their own. And because I just couldn't understand their relationship, I wasn't shipping it. And I think in the end of the day, I can simply explain that for me, the romance was not romancing. Number 6 is The Blonde Identity by Ally Carter. I love Ally Carter, and this was sold to us as the adult Gallagher Girls. And back in the day, I was really into Gallagher Girls, the series written by Ally Carter, and so I was hyped. I actually attended one of her book tour stops for this book. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my book signed, but it's okay because like I didn't like the book, so I wasn't gonna keep it anyways. But yes, so what was I going to say? I think it was advertised incorrectly for one. Number 2, I think that like the amnesia trope just like did not work for me. Like I was just not following the plot. And all in all, like I was just really disappointed. I really thought this was going to blow me away. Number 7 is The Book with No Pictures by BJ Novak. People love this, I guess, children's book. I am not people because I thought it was a waste of time. Number 8 is The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by Anne Rice. I believe that this was originally published under like another name, but it is written by like Anne Rice. So this is part of like the Sleeping Beauty series, And how I got into reading this was, at the time I was watching Mayfair Witches, but then I switched over to watching Interview with a Vampire, the first season, because only the first season's available on Netflix. What are you doing, Netflix? Please give me season 2, because I really loved season 1. And so I was just like, wait, this is really good. And I watched the movie back in the day, but I was like, don't remember how I felt about it because it's been so long. But the series is really good. It makes me want to rewatch the movie, but also I just really want season 2. So I was like, you know what? I've actually never read anything from like Anne Rice, and she's like a very like popular and beloved writer from her time. So I was just like, you know what? Let's like pick up one of like her shorter eroticas and like go from there. And it just didn't work. I don't know, like, I want to say maybe like the claiming of Sleeping Beauty is like a bit outdated. I guess maybe like I looked it up and it came out in like 1983, and maybe for that time it was like really pushing the envelope, really bringing something new to the plate. But it wasn't honestly that long ago. So yeah, I mean, everyone has their kinks, right? And it just, I was not vibing with it. Number 9 is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. So I was really excited to pick up more from Grady Hendrix because I really liked My Best Friend's Exorcism. Unfortunately, Final Girl was not it. I started and like restarted and like restarted this audiobook a few times because for the life of me, I could not get into it. And throughout the process, I was just like, I want to stop, but I also want to know the end. So I continued, but it wasn't even like worth the process. And I think like the book could be condensed. Like, I think maybe it was like a little bit too long. I also really didn't like being in the main character's like head. I just found her really like annoying and unlikable. And like, as the title suggests, if you want to know like a synopsis, The Final Girl Support Group, so it's like a bunch of final girls who are in a support group together, and they start getting like offed, and they're trying to figure out who's coming after them. Number 10 is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. So The Graham Effect, I was highly anticipating this book because I really liked the Off-Campus series that Elle Kennedy wrote, and the Campus series follows the kids from the Off-Campus series. And I was just like, yay, the world's continuing. And I think Elle Kennedy has the ability to deliver a good new adult ice hockey romance. Unfortunately, something happens to the main couple at the end that really angered me, and I thought didn't make sense. It didn't need to be taken to that direction, and I was just like, absolutely not. To try to sell that silly conclusion to me as like a happy ending, no, I felt lied to, I felt cheated. No, that's it. Those are the 10 books I didn't like that I read in 2024, and the one book I DNF'd. Next up, I might do this, so like best and worst, for the things that I watch, but we shall see how like my schedule and timing and like motivation goes. As for this video, it's over. So outro time, like, comment, subscribe. See you in my next video whenever that is. Bye.